Hi again. My name is Prachi Shivgaonkar. I am from India. And I remember as a young student when I started first working in climate, it seemed like forums like COP were only for world leaders and scientists and prime ministers. And I couldn't have even imagined that I would ever get to be here. Now, three COPs in a row, it still feels a little bit unreal to be here in front of all of you. But it made me think of what made me got into this in the first place. I feel like anybody who's working in the climate has always a very interesting reason and a story for doing so. Um, my story started when I remember as a young girl, our school teacher had asked us to write a letter to our future selves. 10 years from now, where would I want to be? And who would I want to be? I remember writing that letter and then completely forgetting about it. Many years passed. I turned 18 and I was at a very decisive point where I had to choose which field my career is going to be in. And it was at that point that something very interesting happened. My school teacher sent that very letter back to me, written by my younger self 10 years ago to the Prachi she aspired to be. And reading it was a huge wake up call because in it, my younger self had written about changing the world and making an impact. And I had not thought that way in a very long time. So I got inspired by the words and the dreams of my younger self. And I decided to go on a quest to figure out how I could make a meaningful impact. Now, I'd of course heard about climate change at that point, but it felt like this larger than life issue beyond my control. It felt like it was something that was happening in some other part of the world. So, what I decided to do that year was to think about my part of the world. I wasn't even working in climate change. I spent the year traveling with farmers, waste pickers, working in education, health, things that I thought were impacting my country. But it was at that point when I actually went on ground to work on issues other than climate change that I kept seeing it everywhere. In every community I visited, I witnessed the effects of climate change. I remember meeting a 12-year-old boy in a slum. I asked him, if you get one wish, you can ask for anything in the world, what would you ask? I'll never forget his answer. He said, I would wish that my house doesn't get filled with water again. Now, I'd of course read in newspapers about how extreme weather events like floods happen more frequently and more intensely because of climate change. But it was the first time I realized that when we read that, it also means that a bright young boy like him has to worry about something as basic as a shelter above his head. I remember an old farmer taught me more about climate change than any other global expert ever could. He said, small farmers like me just can't afford to do it anymore because the weather has become so unreliable. And when I can't afford to grow food, there are 1,000 people behind me who can't afford to buy food. So climate change means more and more people go hungry. Slowly, as I met more people, I started realizing that climate change is not about these big words we keep reading about. As ordinary citizens, we care about very simple things. We care about our homes, we care about our food, we care about our health, and most importantly, we care about our families and the people around us. And it was when I realized that climate change affects all of this that I thought I should do something about it. It bothered me. I remember going to my father and asking him, what can an ordinary girl like me do about a big problem like climate change? We decided to start from our own home. We took a challenge that year to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 10%. But how? Which activities of mine were leading to most emissions? Would it help if I switched off a light bulb, or would it help more if I recycled? So I started taking small actions. My college was about 10 kilometers away, so I started going to college on a cycle. Or I put up a solar panel on the rooftop of my house. So we started doing simple things like that. Then I realized if I had to continue on this journey, I had to measure the impact of the small actions I was taking. So I started researching on how do I quantify my avoided emissions behind the small sustainable actions. And as I started doing that, something very interesting happened. I began to enjoy it. It almost became like a fun game that I was playing with my family. And it felt good that at least at my own level, I was doing something. And perhaps because I was enjoying it so much, my friends, my neighbors, people around me started to take notice. People would come to me and say, "It looks like you're doing something interesting, and we would like to join you in this quest." That's when I started thinking, I've taken this challenge at an individual level. How can I get global citizens like you to join me in it? And from this, we came up with the idea for an app called Cool the Globe, which would unite citizens like you and I to start taking climate action in our day to day lives. So, Cool the Globe app gives users multiple ways to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions to a target. It's free, open to all, and enables users to track the emissions they save across small, sustainable actions in their day to day lives. So, I worked on building this app across my college years, and by the time I graduated, we launched it. But that's when we realized that now the real work starts. We have the platform, but the real work is in convincing people that in the face of climate change, our actions matter and we can make a difference. So we started making simple video campaigns on what the ordinary citizen can do about climate change. And our message was very simple. Let each one of us begin by reducing our own emissions by 10% every year. And somehow people liked that we were talking not just about the problem, but also about how each one of us can be a part of the solution. So people started coming on the app and taking climate action at their own levels. I remember a 9-year-old girl emailed me and said, "What change can I make in my life to fight climate change?" And she decided to also start going to a school on a cycle and recorded saving 60 kilograms of CO2 emissions by doing this in a few months, which was 3 times her weight. Another 80-year-old woman called me. She said, I don't move much. I don't know how I can be a part of this, but I still want to do something to fight climate change. So her granddaughter was getting married, and she decided for her granddaughter's wedding to reuse her own sari, which is a traditional Indian outfit from 40 years ago, to the occasion again. And they recorded saving 15 kilograms of emissions by doing that. So I saw how one climate action inspired 10 others and created a ripple effect for change. Citizens around the world became our ambassadors. And before I knew it, through completely grassroots, citizen led movements like this, we reached over 25 million people. Today, as I speak to you, we have over 100,000 users from 150 countries coming on the platform, and they've collectively recorded saving 6 million kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions simply by taking climate actions in their own lives. And this is just the beginning. I started this journey as a young girl who thought she was alone in this fight. If there's one thing I've learned over the past couple of years, is that I'm far from alone and that you are not alone either. I'm here representing a dynamic group of young women from around the world advocating for the protection of the Arctic and the Antarctic ice. Guess what we're called? The Arctic Angels. We often think that the decisions that shape the world are made by a select few in positions of power and that the voices of people like us don't matter. The Arctic Angels exist to show the world that our voices do matter. Because when it comes to sub issues within the climate space, like protection of the central Arctic field, the ice shield, the protection of the ice shield, it often feels like people don't care. Because when you talk about melting ice from a faraway land, it feels like people start dozing off. Not you, because you're already working in the climate. But when enough of us come together, unite our voices, and say that I care about the Arctic ice shield and that you should care about it too, that is not just ice from a faraway land, that is central to the very functioning of the Earth's climatic system, that our lives matter, that our lives depend on this ice. When we come together and say that, then people might just stop dozing off and start listening. Last year, during the UN General Assembly, I and a couple other Arctic Angels met with the US State Department to lobby for the BBNJ Treaty, the High Seas Treaty, which is central to the protection of areas beyond national jurisdiction, like the Arctic Ice Shield. Um, We met with the US assistant secretary from the US State Department when we lobbied for the protection of this treaty. The next day, the US announced that they'll be ratifying this treaty. That is the power of collective action. People often ask me, do my actions even matter? Why should I do something? The individual actions are very small compared to the systemic changes that are required to fight climate change. Organizations also need to take action. Policies need to change. Leaders need to be serious about this. I started my journey with individual action. And today, over the past couple of years, I've got the opportunity to work with organizations at policy level, to advocate, to lobby. And I've experienced that when you take action in your own life, it creates a ripple effect for systemic changes also. Today, I also serve as the advisor for India's largest integrated power company and a very climate focused power company called Tata Power. When I started out, um, they had a lot of climate initiatives going on, but it was not enough for the leadership. They wanted everybody in the workforce to be involved with it also. So we started an initiative called Climate Crew, which would get all employees as a part of the climate targets that the organization has. Today, there are over 10,000 employees at Tata Power who are coming to work every day and taking climate action in their own lives. And we saw that when employees are taking climate action, they're also more invested in the climate targets of their organization. Tata Power is now on track to get a 70% clean energy portfolio by 2030 and a 100% clean energy portfolio by 2045. And this is not just a target for the leadership. Every single employee is a part of this mission. It's a movement within the organization to become carbon neutral. At the beginning of my journey, I read somewhere that it's going to take a miracle to avoid the worst effects of climate change. The journey to net zero is not an easy one. We need every single fabric of society to become a part of this journey. But today I believe that when citizens like us unite to take climate action, miracles can happen. So let's make them happen together. Thank you.